This time it all goes well, and if it doesn't, I'll have a talk with him.
I haven't seen spontaneous chemistry.
For Kyle, no. She has too much drama.
Some of the movement, it's almost porno.
Family visits are always interesting on Love Island because people try to be on their best behavior and they try to present their child or brother or sister or whoever it is in a positive light. So to see some of the comments that some of the families made, they were very cringe. I didn't like Bergie's granddad's comments about Taylor. I think that was a bit too much. Even if he felt that, she wasn't serious about his grandson, he's been through a lot. And the fact that he's found someone, even if she's pretending to like him, is a surprise because all the girls turned him away. I loved Cassie's sister warning Leo that she will come after him. I said this about Hannah and Marco, that all we see of them is them having sex or thinking about sex or talking about sex. So I'm not surprised that his grandma said it looks like porno. And then I didn't like Kyle's god sister's comments about Destiny. The fact that she said Destiny was very good at the start and then now she's not, and that was a bit too much. If she had those comments, she should have reserved them and told them to Destiny to her face. This is not something that she needed to say to be broadcast on TV, because even if Destiny and Kyle become serious, that is still going to be a bone of contention between the two of them, because you could see Kyle was very uncomfortable. Even after it all finished, he was very uncomfortable because Destiny's family sang his high praises, and for his family to come in and sort of knock Destiny like that, you could tell he was bothered. He was bothered. And I think there's going to be words exchanged because he said he's going to speak to his mom, but I don't know. I think he's going to be more upset that his mom brought his god sister. And it's sad that these women keep coming as sisters to people and they talk badly about the partner. This happened on Married at First Sight. Now it's happening on Love Island. Hey, it is what it is. Hey there, it's Valerie. I digress. Thanks for stopping by. Welcome to my channel. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Love Island USA, Season 5, Episode 35. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, and turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos. So after Imani and Zay leave, you have the islanders go in their couples and sort of sit and reflect about, what's just happened. You have Destiny and Kyle having a conversation because they're sort of wondering why people voted for them. Destiny has never really been one to share what's going on in her relationships. And I think this is something Harrison has moaned about, even after he's left the villa, that she wasn't telling everybody what was happening, the updates that were happening once they recoupled. And so I'm not surprised that people really don't know what's going on with her and Kyle. And it seems Kyle is the same way. And so because people don't know, I think that's why they had questions in regards to coupling. But the fact that Marco voted for them, Marco is really still in his feelings about the Destiny situation. The fact that she told him she lost any respect she had for him after he kissed her, and then he told her he wanted to explore connections with other people, that sort of infuriated him, and he's held on to that. And the fact that she called him out when the following morning after sleeping with Hannah, he was bragging about how she had scratched his back, how there was sexual tension, blah, 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 blah. And so I think he's held on to that anger, and this is why he's always tried to get her eliminated. He tried through Harrison. I think he's tried through Islander votes, but he's lost, support from all the other Islanders. And this is why she's still in the villa, and he can't understand that. And so I get where Destiny is coming from, saying that she knew that they were going to vote for them regardless, whether or not they were compatible or not. Because I think she knows that Marco, although he's in his couple with Hannah and appears to be happy, he's still harboring some resentment for Destiny. And it's like, Marco, the only reason you're still in the villa is because of Hannah. Because if Destiny's had come for you, you would have left Fiji a while ago. Look at what's happened to Harrison, Jonah, Zay, Mike. They've all gone home. So you're only still there because of Hannah. If not for Hannah, Destiny's come would have taken you out, and I wouldn't be surprised if he takes you out by surprise. Anyway, you then have Scott and Janae having a conversation and wondering why Bergie and Taylor voted for them. And they say it's because they don't discuss their relationship with anybody, with Taylor or Bergie. So that's why they feel like there was this question in regards Bergie and Taylor and why Bergie and Taylor voted for them. In my opinion, Bergie was never going to vote for Armani. I said this yesterday, or Zay, because of the fact that they were friends with Hannah. And he was never going to vote for Destiny because Destiny saved Carmen when Carmen was still trying to explore a connection with Destiny. And he was friends at a time with Destiny and Harrison. So he was never going to vote for them. He was always going to vote for Scott and Taylor. But I think his reasoning behind his vote is what sort of upset them and what hasn't made sense. But anyway, we'll see. And then you have all the islanders get ready for the night. I said this before and I felt guilty when I said it, but the producers are showing Hannah as someone who's sex starved and all she thinks about is having sex with Marco. And this is what's happened. Once the lights go off, you see them already, off they go. The sheets are moving. And Scott, for someone who was bragging that he's a slow burn, whatever he was doing under that duvet with Jonay, only the two of them know. Hannah and Marco have really been indifferent to because I haven't seen any substance in their connection outside of the fact that they seem sexually attracted to one another. I know they've both said we're closed off, they've both said their feelings for one another, but I haven't actually seen conversations that have sort of convinced me that there is emotional depth in that relationship. Anyway, the night before, obviously Marco was talking about the fact that, oh, even though they said they were friends, but a lot of relationships have started off as friendships. And it's like, it's one thing at the start of the show when you still have 5, 6 weeks to go. It's another thing when it's a couple of days and someone is saying we're in a friendship couple and I'm thinking of breaking up with my partner. That's totally different. There's no room for him to decide when he's going to change his mind. He can go and do that out on the outside, and she deserves the right, Amani, to know what he was saying. And then for Hannah in the morning to be moaning to Taylor that, oh, why did they have to send her home? They had to send her home because she wasn't in a romantic coupling. Just because you were best friends doesn't mean she should have stayed in the villa. This is a love island. This is not friendship island. If you were that upset that your friend was going home, why didn't you pack your bags and go? It's only a couple of days left anyway. You and Marco could have gone home and continued to make out at home. Really, I don't see why you still need to be here if you're so upset that your friend is gone. This is not friendship island. You and your friend pack your bags and go home. I didn't get that. And then for Taylor to try and rationalize her reason for voting Scott and Jonay doesn't make sense. I don't know who suddenly made a judge and jury. You gave your reasoning and that's it. For you to say, oh, until last minute you're still exploring multiple connections, that has nothing to do with you. Focus on you and Bergie. A lot of people are calling you out saying you and Bergie are fake. So please focus on you and leave them alone unless they come to have a conversation with you. Mind your own business and leave them to mind theirs. So you have the couple sort of having a conversation about life after the villa, I think, because it's only a couple of days left. So everyone is trying to understand what's going to happen once they leave the villa. You have Marco and Hannah talking about where they're going to go on their first date. And it was cute. It was cute. I don't want to lie. They talked about walking on the beach. They talked about going for a meal. So it sounds more or less Marco. It sounds more or less like what Marco would do. I I I don't know whether this relationship or this coupling has longevity. We'll see. Destiny and Kyle are talking about going on a trip, and if you go on Destiny's Instagram, she's always traveling. The girl has been around the world. So she talks about her next, plan, which is to go to Bali. And so it seems Kyle is on board. He wants to go to Bali as well, so he's open to that. They talk about activities that they're going to do. And this is the first time since she broke up with Harrison that I've actually seen Destiny at peace. I think, as I said, Destiny only wants someone who's genuine and who puts in the work or who shows that they're willing to do anything to win her affection. And whereas the other guys that she fell out with, I think it was because they tried to play her. She could see that they were using her for one reason or the other. Either they wanted to make out with her or they were just looking for a way to stay in the villa. And then you have Bergie and Taylor having a conversation. And one thing Scott is going to do is Scott is not afraid of confrontation. He's always going to come and he's always going to ask the questions that need to be asked because he asked them for their rationale behind them voting for them. It didn't make sense to me. It didn't make sense because they then tried to escape by saying, oh, no, it's nothing to do with you. It's more of the fact that Jonay didn't seem to be making a decision. She only waited until last minute and she didn't close all the doors. I like to close a door as soon as I start exploring something with someone. And it's like, Bergie, sit down. Sit down somewhere and keep quiet. You've never had the opportunity to explore with anyone outside of with Taylor. So please don't tell us what you like to do because you haven't had that many opportunities for you to see whether if you had multiple people interested in you, you'd keep all doors open or you'd shut them. So please sit down. We're not paying attention. And then Leo and Cassie, they're in a world of their own. They are happy that they're back together. They're sort of talking about life, and Leo's going to college. So it's a matter of how is he and Cassie going to sort of continue to see one another? How are they going to keep in touch? It's going to be long distance. And then Cassie finds out that it's an hour away, so she'll be happy to commute. I think they're cute. They remind me of Sydney and Isaiah. The only difference is they've had issues, but they haven't been toxic. Even when they've had drama, they've always been very calm in how they've dealt with it. So I have high hopes for them. If Sydney and Isaiah are still going together as a couple, I don't know whether they're still a couple anyway. Then I don't see why Leo and Cassie cannot be a couple. Hey. So Leo came up with the lover game. I liked it. I thought it was cute. Anything that doesn't involve people kissing multiple people or pouring liquid mouth to mouth, I'm happy for. And it was good because it showed teamwork and it showed how good at communication couples are. Last place was Janae and Scott wasn't happy. He said he didn't talk to Janae for 10 minutes. Well, he's someone who's athletic, so I understand him not being happy. And I think runner after them was Marco and Hannah because Marco's elbows touched the floor. Bergie and Taylor, I think they were tied with Marco and Hannah because they both failed at the same spot. And then you have Cassie and Leo and Destiny and Kyle. They fell off the flamingo. The flamingo tripped them up. And the winners were Carmen and Kenzo, which is to be expected. I won't say what I wanted to say, but I think it was nice. It was something just to kill the time because everybody's anxious. They get into the end and they know any day someone could be going home. So that was cute to see. And then Scott receives a message to say that they're going to be receiving messages from home, and everyone is excited because they can't wait for those that have been there since the beginning. I think there's only like 5 people: Bergie, Marco, Leo, Destiny and Cassie are the only original members. So I think they really miss their parents. Carmen was talking about the fact that she's going to cry when she sees her dad and stuff. And it was like, okay. The boys were anxious that what if their family doesn't like their partner? How will they feel about that? And it's like, well, they will have to, be open-minded and remember that this is just an edited version of the person and trust you, their child, and your judgment that you're able to see the good in the person. Otherwise, you wouldn't match yourself up with a bad person. Obviously, Leo's worried about Cassie's mum and the fact that, the issue with Janae and everything else that happened during Kasamo, which makes sense. So we'll see how that plays out. Everybody gets ready and they go for their drinks, and so the islanders pick up their drinks, they sit down, and they watch. The first video is from Carmen's mother, brother, and dad, and they are excited for Carmen. The dad, I think, sort of recognized or acknowledged what happened with Victor and Bergie in the sense that he liked the fact that she was able to stand her ground, and then they said they loved Kenzo, they were happy, and it's like, you know how I feel about this couple anyway. Kenzo's mom and brother, his mom was very emotional. Obviously, she spoke in Spanish. She loves her son, and she was ecstatic to see how well he's doing and how he's a man of his word. And then the brother spoke about the fact that his mom was very nervous for him after Casa, and she was happy when Carmen came on her own. So that made her very happy. And I like the fact that because some of the islanders don't understand Spanish, Leo took it upon himself to sort of explain to everybody and let everybody understand what Kenzo's mom was trying to say. So that was sweet. My feelings about Kenzo and Carmen are very, I don't want to say mixed, or I don't even know how I feel about them as a couple. They're not one of my favorites. I think if there had not been a rumor that they knew each other before the villa, then maybe I might like them. But because there's been this rumor that they already knew each other prior to entering the villa, this is why I'm not even on the fence. I'm indifferent is more or less what I can say, because I hated the way Carmen treated Bergie and Victor. So since then, she's never been someone I've paid attention to, and you've really heard me talk about her in my reviews anyway. Next up is Scott and Johnny. So we have Scott's mom, brother, and sister first. And I love them. so laid back. Even when they came to Love Island, UK, to the villa to visit Scott, they were just there and they were just comforting him and uplifting him. So I like the fact that they did, speak positivity to him. They were a bit sort of laid back, I think, because they've done this before. But then I like the fact that his mom says, "Oh yeah, Johnny is headstrong, and you do like a confident woman." Like, that's his type. He doesn't like people that he can walk all over. He said that himself before, so that was cute to see. And the fact that they acknowledged Johnny was nice. I loved that. I loved that. And the islanders were confused. They thought his brother was his dad, and he was like, "Oh my god, my brother's not going to be happy with this." I think it's because he had the blonde hair, or he had the silver beard or something. I can't remember. Johnny's mom, I feel some type of way in the sense that yes, the sister spoke about Leo, the mom spoke about her daughter and the fact that she was hurt, but they didn't acknowledge Scott, which doesn't make sense to me given the fact that they know that their daughter's coupled up with Scott. If nothing else, they should have said this is a new connection. Hopefully it works, because even Scott's mom said to him, last time it didn't work out, and I'm hoping that this time it works out for you. Just enjoy yourself and have a great time. And so I felt some type of way about Johnny's family not acknowledging Scott. That's just me. Some type of way about Johnny saying, "Oh, my mom was worried about me because of what I went through." And it's like, nobody in the villa slut shamed you after that happened. You and Leo did what you did consensually, and then there was fallout in the sense that Cassie came back and Leo realized that he still wanted Cassie. And you participated in that. And so for you to suddenly play victim, I don't get that. I don't get that. You didn't get the guy that you thought you had won. You were planning on having a lot of drama with Cassie, and Cassie didn't give you that. So you need to sit somewhere. The fact that Marco was able to persuade Leo to keep you in the villa is the reason why you're there, and is the reason why you have the story to tell. But please don't paint Leo to be the villain who, took advantage of you when he didn't. I don't like that. Next up is Bergie and Taylor. Taylor's mom was a breath of fresh air. She said she likes all the girls. They have standout personalities, which she likes, and she's invited them all down. She lives in wine country. That was cute. And the fact that she spoke highly of Bergie, and the fact that she said she knew as soon as he entered the villa that her daughter would love him, was heartwarming and reassuring for Bergie. And then his family was completely 180 in the sense that the dad, you could say, was trying to sort of censor himself. He didn't want to say anything negative. Yeah, he spoke about the hideaway, and he spoke about, Taylor teaching. I think it was the grandma who talked about Taylor teaching Bergie how to be a man. The granddad said, he didn't expect to see Bergie kissing people, and he's suddenly seen Bergie kiss multiple people. And then he made this comment. I think the family were thinking it, and suddenly for the granddad, you could see the grandma was uncomfortable. She was very uncomfortable because he spoke about, "Oh, I haven't seen any natural chemistry. It comes across as forced." And it's like, I hate this concept that men are not attracted to black women, and people always try and sort of dress it up in a nice and sort of polite way to say that they're not attractive. And it's like, just because you're not attracted to someone doesn't mean the next person is not. Your grandson is lucky to have Taylor. She's changed him for the better. He looks more like a man than when he entered the villa. He's learned a lot from all the girls, multiple ethnicities. So for you to suddenly have, this notion that, oh, it's forced and it's this, sit down somewhere. Tell your grandson to come home then. If you don't want him to be in a couple, you should never have allowed him to go on Love Island, because he was going to meet people from different backgrounds and different ethnicities. So if you didn't want him to be with anyone outside of his ethnic group, then you should have kept him at home. I didn't like that. I didn't like that. I thought there was a lot of dog whistles in there. I thought it was sort of racially tainted, for lack of a better word, in that there was sprinklings that made me very uncomfortable. And everyone, I think, felt awkward, but they tried to laugh it up and just make it seem light, but I didn't like it. Next up is Destiny and Carl's family, and first up is Destiny's mom and dad. I really loved them. I really loved them. I think they spoke. You could hear how eloquent and articulate they were. And if you read between the lines, when the dad was saying, look out, guys, he was more or less telling them that my daughter is never going to take crap from anyone, which is, I think, the way he's brought her up, that don't allow people to take advantage of you. Don't allow people to play you. Always know your worth and always stand up for yourself. Because he was saying, oh, I hope the karate that I taught you, you still are up to par with it and you can still sort of defend yourself, which I liked. He didn't say it in a derogatory way. And the mom was very supportive of her daughter and spoke positivity into her, which was sweet. And then the fact that the dad acknowledged that he was proud of Destiny for not doing anything in the hideaway, given the fact that people have sort of knocked Destiny that, oh, she's not allowing guys to touch her, she's not this. And guys have actually left to recouple with somebody else because they felt that they wanted someone who was more physically intimate with them, shows that Destiny was doing this, one, because she knows her self-worth, and two, because she was respecting the boundaries that her family have taught her to set. And so I liked that. And the fact that they said, oh, remember Islanders, love is everywhere. That was cute. That was really cute. I liked that. The dad acknowledged Kyle. He acknowledged, the qualities that he sees in Kyle, which I think none of the other parents had said. And this was very reassuring and very encouraging for Kyle. And you could see he was very impressed. He was very impressed. And so to go from Destiny's family to suddenly go to Kyle's mom and God's sister, oh my God, it was cringe. It was really cringe. The fact that they said, oh, we really enjoy everything you've done, and it's like, what have you enjoyed him doing prior to him coupling up with Destiny? Because even Ian called him unseen bits because you barely got to see him. So when have you seen him enough for you to say, oh, we've really enjoyed everything you've been doing? The fact that she went, oh, Destiny was my favorite at the start, and then after, Destiny was everybody's favorite at the start because she was in a coupling with Harrison and she was happy. And once she started to get the praise and the fan support behind her, because the producers didn't want them to win, they then turned her into the villain that they've now continued to portray her as. It's not for any other reason, because she's continued to be herself, but they've chosen to edit out any good bits, and every single scene that you see her with a guy, except for now with Kyle, has been negative. There's always been negativity or a tinge of negativity in it. So to blame Destiny on what you've seen over less than the 30 minutes that she's been on screen, I don't even think she's been on screen for equivalent to an episode in all the 34 episodes that have aired. I don't think so, because you get a glimpse of her here, you get a glimpse of her there. So for them to add that up and say, oh, I don't like her, I don't think she's good enough for you, and it's like, you don't think an articulate, educated, stunning, with a banging body woman who knows her worth, who's able to independently speak for herself and set boundaries, you don't think she's good enough for Kyle? Okay, go to the factory and manufacture one that's good for him then. And I like the fact that Destiny didn't say anything. She said they're basing their opinions on what they see. Yes, Kyle did speak up for Destiny to sort of try to support Destiny, but it was bad. And the fact that you had the peanut gallery, Marco and Hannah sort of chapping away after Marco was laughing. Marco is so hurt by the fact that Destiny moved on. In his own head, he would have preferred Destiny to be eliminated. That way he didn't get to see her, or she didn't get to explore anything with anyone. And I would love for Destiny to be in the final Islanders, standing there at the podium waiting to hear who's won. Just to irk Marco, just to irk him and sort of grind his nerve, because he's so infatuated with this hatred for Destiny. It's shocking. Next up is Hannah and Marco. So we get to see Hannah's mom, dad, and her sister. They are happy to see Hannah. Obviously, they're happy to see Marco, and they think they make a cute couple. Her dad was very quiet, though. He rarely said much, but hey, it is what it is. And then you have Marco's dad and someone who appeared to be his sister, I think, and his grandma. And they were ecstatic. They love Hannah. Hannah, I think, has done a lot for Marco. She's sort of toned him down and sort of given him this maturity that he didn't have when he came into the villa. So in that sense, she's been good for him. They acknowledge this, that she's allowed him and helped him sort of open up and grow to be a better version of himself. So I would want that for my son. So I understand where they're coming from. Oh, grandma had to bring it in. I felt guilty saying this. I'm going to repeat this, but the producers have just been showing Marco and Hannah having sex. That's all they've done. We've barely had a conversation outside of today when they were talking about what they would do if they went on a date. Most of the time, it's just been them knocking boots all the time. So I understand where grandma is coming from, saying that we can see what you're doing. We can hear what you're doing. You need to be careful. She's more or less telling Marco to tone it down, and they need to tone it down. They really do, because there's nothing else we're seeing outside of that. And that can't be said to be a connection, though. There needs to be more to that connection than just the sex part. But hey, that's me. Last but not least was Cassie and Leo. And I loved Leo's family. I loved them speaking positivity into him. Leo's mom, I liked the way she addressed the Cassie situation, but she didn't do it disrespectfully, unlike Kyle's family, in the sense that she wished that Leo had seen how Cassie had moved in Casa, how excited she was, and all that. I think sort of to relieve the tension. She's a mother. She's going to protect her son. So she didn't like the fact that her son was made the bad guy and Cassie was made the victim, just like Jonay. So I like the fact that she acknowledged that. And she also acknowledged the situation with Jonay. They did tell him off, but it was cute and respectful. It was totally different from Carl's family and Bergie's family. Those two families I did not like. And then you had Cassandra's mom. Oh, she was sweet because she acknowledged her daughter trying things out with Jonay, and she sort of pepped her daughter up and took away any anxiety that she might have in sort of telling her mom that I'm by. Her sister and her friend were there to support her. I like the fact that her sister said, if you like Leo, I love him. I'm here for you, and so whatever you want, I'm there. But if Leo does the same thing again, then we're going to have a talk. And you can see Leo was quivering because he knew he had made a mistake, but they said it in a respectful way, which is what I wish the other two families had done. I like the fact that the mom sort of acknowledged the fact that at times when men cheat, they don't realize the effects this has on the women, because this damages a woman. This changes her perception of relationship, her perception of man, and how they can break your heart or break you, and they are not loyal and stuff. So I like that. I thought that was sweet. After the messages, you have Kyle sort of sit down with Destiny. And I love how Destiny handled the situation. People have been calling her dramatic. I think there's been more to those conversations that have left to the outbursts. Because if you look at the way she used to speak to Harrison, I'll always bring this back up because the way she behaved with Harrison is more or less the way she's behaving with Kyle, in the sense that they were able to communicate and have conversations and reach an understanding without even shouting, even when they broke up. So the fact that she was there and she was calm, you could see Kyle was upset. She was more worried about Kyle because she could tell Kyle was upset. Kyle was upset in himself. He did not like what his cousin said, or his god sister, or whoever she is, and he didn't like what his mother said. And so he told Destiny that, I will have a word with my mom, because you could tell he wasn't happy. He wasn't happy at all, because it came across as very disrespectful. And the fact that they felt that they knew Destiny after just seeing a couple of clips, I think this is what upset him more. He did say Destiny is spicy. Spicy is a word that a lot of people use. So it's not to say they're not, the guys that have spoken about Destiny once they've left the villa have never said she's very rude or derogatory or whatever. They've always said she's very spicy. I take it to mean that she's quick-witted, and she's able to give you a response. She's not going to hide her feelings. So whatever you say, you have to be prepared for her to come back with a response. And so he was upset. He said he's going to speak to his mom. And Destiny just sat there, and she had no choice but to try and sort of pacify him, when she should have been the one who should have been offended. But she said, as long as my family know who I am and they know what I do and they know my boundaries, that's all that I'm worried about. Everything else, I don't care. And then it was cute. He tried to kiss Destiny, and Destiny was like, my dad is watching. I was like, oh, it's a bit too late now, Destiny. It's a bit too late. And then you had Bergie and Taylor sit down and talk. Bergie, this is where emotional maturity comes in, because you could tell he was struggling. He didn't know what to say. He didn't know what to do, because you could tell Taylor was trying to say she was offended by what his grandparents had said, in particular his granddad, and she was trying to process. She understand they were different, and I think she was trying to say, I understand we come from different ethnic groups, but still I felt as though your granddad didn't respect me enough to think that I am worthy of you, or that I would see value in you. So that's how I feel. And Bergie was just, oh, I don't know. I don't know. Hopefully someone will pull him aside. It's a pity Keenan is gone, because Keenan was always the one who was good at sort of giving him information, or Harrison. They used to help him sort of understand and process stuff. And now that they're both gone, I don't know. We'll see how that plays out once they leave the villa, because they both seemed very shaken. Bergie, on his part, I think he might have understood what his granddad said, but he seemed really shaken, and he seemed to start questioning his relationship. And Taylor was in the same boat, so I don't know how that plays out. But anyway, thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Bye, everyone.